Oh, hang on, an error occurred. 1 second, mate. Hello and welcome to Optimum Derby Live. My name is Martin Crowson. I'm here as ever with the MD of Optimum, Tom Heeley. Hi, Tom.
How you doing? You okay, Martin? You all right?
Yeah, good. Are you?
Good, great stuff. Great week. Good stuff.
Thank you for joining us, folks, wherever you're watching us this afternoon, YouTube or LinkedIn. This is the third in a series of short, quick-fire tips on how to improve or guard against certain common injuries that we all get, any of us that play sport or are active. Today, we're talking about shoulder pain that many people get whilst doing bench pressing or similar movements at the gym. So it's over to Tom straight away. Tom, first of all, just explain to us what sort of action we're talking about with regards to that bench press movement.
Yeah, so typically a bench press is you might refer it to like a press up. So anything where your hands start close to your chest and you're pushing away. So think of a press up type movement, or if you're looking at a bench press, lay flat down, barbell or dumbbells and pushing away from you. It's that sort of action there.
Okay.
Yeah, you've got, I suppose, like we were talking a minute ago, you've got a couple of different alternatives to that type of movement as well. So I like to think about a couple of different pressing actions. So you've got press horizontal, so in front, a press vertically, so one going up and above your head, and then you've got a couple of opposite actions. So you've got a row in that way, and you've got a row coming back down as well. So they're kind of four of the key big movements, and you've got a couple of rotational bits and out to the side. So they're your four big key movements really around the shoulder. Yeah,
and it goes to show that through the various different ones you've just explained, it's quite a movable joint, the shoulder and the shoulder area around it, to be able to do all those sorts of things. So there's plenty of working movements going on in there.
Yeah, and that's kind of part of the difficulty when you're coming to rehab it or coming to work out what the problems may be, is that there's many moving parts. So yeah, we'll come on to it in a minute's time, but like the shoulder blade, the ribs, the collarbone up at the front as well, the clavicle. So there's plenty of moving parts, and that's the difficult bit about it, is working out.
Okay, so you touched on those skeletal parts now. What muscles are also used in the actions we've been talking about?
If we look at a bench press or a press up is mainly going to be your chest. So their prime movers is going to be here on the front. So your pectoral muscles. Yes, you're going to have some stability going on through other areas. So you're going to look at your rotator cuff, and you're also going to look at your posterior muscles, so the muscles on the back. But primarily, your big movers are going to be on the front, so your chest press area through there, and your pectorals. So they're going to be your big movers and your main actions.
Okay. Do you want to take us through some of the movements then, Tom, and explain what can happen and what sort of injuries people can pick up, and then we'll get on how to try and avoid those injuries, common injuries afterwards.
Yeah. So if we look a little bit at Barry. Welcome, Barry. Barry's debut today.
Welcome, Buzzer.
If we look at Barry, so you've got from the side on, looking at the right shoulder, you've got your collarbone up at the top, you've got your shoulder blade down here, and then you've got your ball, which sits in the groove in part of your socket just in the front here. And if we look at sort of the muscles around this area, I'm going to keep it quite simple for this bit. You've got the muscles on the front, and you've got the muscles on the back here. Okay. Now, what will happen is if you develop the muscles on the front way more than the muscles on the back, you're going to end up with this moving that way. Okay, so this whole area is going to slide forwards, and the arm and the ball of the socket is going to travel that direction.
Just naturally, because you develop that side of your body.
Completely, Martin. Yeah. So because the muscles on the front will probably be stronger and more developed, then the shoulder blade will start to travel and kind of come around this corner here, leaving these muscles here on a big old stretch. Also, they're probably going to be a lot weaker as well. And that's just from working a lot of the muscles on the front of your body rather than what's on the back. That's often the case in what we see is a lot of the issues. So people spend a lot of time working the muscles that they can see in the gym. So the muscles that you can see in the mirror, the muscles that are in front of you, and maybe forget about the things on the back. And that's where some of the issues come into play, is focusing on too much on this side and kind of neglecting a little bit through the back.
Are you suggesting that some of us might go to the gym just for vanity work, Tom?
Potentially, mate, yeah.
So talk us through the muscles and the structure at the back there that maybe does need some work, and what could be done to try and avoid that overloading on the pecs.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to plan a session, or you were to plan your week's training, or even a 2, 3, 4 week, or however far in advance you plan your sessions, if you were to plan it in a way that you've got an equal balance between what you do at the front and what you do at the back. So let's say it's one push and one pull, and similarly it's one push and one pull. That would be useful to think about it to begin with. And then the muscles on the back, you've got to focus on things like rhomboids, serratus anterior, trapezius, your rotator cuff, your lats. There's lots of big muscles in through the back here, which you'd want to focus and concentrate on. But again, I would think about balancing those actions. So balancing how much you go in front and how much you pull back towards you.
Yeah, okay. But just at this point, folks, if you've got any questions to ask while we're doing this, please pop them in the comments section, and we'll try and get onto them, if not during today's short fire video. But when we're finished, Tom will be answering any questions in the comments section at a later stage. So when I go to the gym, Tom, I do a lot of pressing out the front, out of that. There's also the ones above our heads. Ironically, took a picture of myself at the gym there on the left earlier today to explain that. Do you advocate an all-round workout? You're just touching on it then, but how important is it for people like me to do the work that's above my head and the rhomboids at the back, as opposed to just working on the front side of things?
Yeah, so true, so true. So it's as important to work. To be honest, it's as important to work through all range. So rather than just being focused on things that are maybe down by your sides, like a bicep curl, or even that's going to work your shoulders a little bit, or even just a frontal raise where you maybe just reach your arms to just in front of your body. Yeah, it's important to work the whole thing. And to be honest, these are the most challenging movements up here. So when you get above your head, they're the most challenging for the shoulder and the stability of the muscles. And to give that control to the area and hold the ball and socket within a good position. And again, if you have got imbalances here, then it's going to show, it's going to highlight. And that's probably when you're going to end up with little pains or little aches and issues and potentially poor movements and weakness. So that's important to focus on. Don't just focus on just being good here, focus on being good here, and also being good sort of in all range, really. And that's just using a variety of different exercises rather than just focus on 2 or 3 key ones that you want to work on.
Okay. You say the ones above our head are the most challenging. Should we be wary of those? Is there danger that, we go straight into heavy weights doing that and people get injured doing that? Very, important to start small and work on that.
Exactly, mate. Just start small, start easy, low weights, a few repetitions to begin with. Just make it nice and easy, and just get the movements right. And just make sure you check in with somebody and get some help on and advice on whether the movements are the right movements, you're doing it correctly, or if they're maybe not ideal and you maybe need to work on some other accessory movements to help with that, and accessory exercise to support that. But yeah, start easy, start small, and just build it through there.
As well as doing the right things in the gym, is there anything that we can do at home just to keep things ticking over?
Yeah, again, talking about sort of those movements that we mentioned earlier. So you've got your flat bench where you're pushing in front and you've got your press ups. If you think about those movements in day-to-day life as well, that can sometimes just look like desk work. So it can sometimes look like this. So and people end up coming in front, shoulders end up rounding, they almost get a little bit into this position. And that's similar to what would happen on a prolonged period. So rather than just doing 4 sets of 8 bench press at the gym, it would be almost the equivalent of doing 6 hours behind a computer 5 days a week. So that in time will have a similar sort of effect and pattern. So yeah, getting out of that position and starting to get up and stretch every 15, 20, half an hour, read an email, pick up the phone. If you're working from home, you've got the opportunity to maybe get up and walk around a little bit easier and a little bit freer. But definitely get up and stretch through your chest and try and open this up as much as you can. Because the two together probably just as harmful as each other. One's obviously looks a bit worse because you're lifting heavier weights, but one's just for prolonged periods of time.
Yeah. I don't know, we essentially concentrated on the gym work today, but what sort of sports lead to shoulder injuries, and which injuries have you commonly dealt with most in your career so far?
Yeah, obviously rugby's a big one, just lots and lots of contact. So that's obviously, it's not so much about these sorts of injuries, maybe where it's a muscular imbalance. It's potentially more sort of a contact injury. So you end up with breaks, fractures, and more sort of acute injuries. This tends to be something that comes on over a longer period of time. Okay. And then throwing activities, so things like javelin and throwing sports like cricket, where you end up kind of throwing the ball, or bowling, and that repetitive over and over use action can cause wear and that imbalances, and therefore it's important to keep on with the right exercises to make sure that those imbalances don't start to creep in.
Okay, that's good timing, Tom. We're right up to 10 minutes, and it's probably a good place to stop just there. If you've got any questions from today's show, as I said, please drop us a message in below. If you're not already subscribed to the Optimum Derby YouTube channel, if you're watching us on there, please do so, and you'll find out about our upcoming broadcast. We've already done a couple of these, so if you'd like to find out about Achilles tendons injuries and how to avoid them, last week's session was on concussion. Again, what is a concussion and how to avoid them in the future. And next week, same time, same place, Wednesday, 4 o'clock, we'll be looking at hamstring injuries and how to avoid them. You can find out more about Optimum Derby on our website, and if you want any more information, you can email Tom at the address on the bottom of the screen now. That just leaves me, Martin Crowson, to say thanks for your time again, Tom, and thanks to Barry for his on-screen debut. You did a good job, mate.
Thank you very much. Cheers, mate. Thanks, mine. I'll see you next week. Hamstring and anything sort of hamstring related, even leading to things like neural pain and a bit of sciatica stuff as well.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for joining us today, folks. I'm Martin Crowson. This is Optimum Derby. We'll see you again next week, Wednesday, 4 o'clock. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.